right, everybody, welcome to another MetaStock webinar. I'm sorry, I just clapped right in the microphone there. Apologize for that. Hey, anyway, my name is Kelly Clement. I am your YouTube host today for today's webinar. Today is going to be Trading with the Supertrend Indicator by Kevin Nelson. This is I've seen him do this presentation. It's actually a great presentation, learning how to use that Supertrend indicator and how to get access to it. So stay tuned for that. Today, again, we're going to be having Kevin Nelson, who is the runner of the MetaStock, of the learnmetastock.com website, and our host for the webinar will be Jeff Gibby. So we're going to have Jeff and Kevin on here in about 5 minutes. So anyway, let me go check to make sure everything's running okay, and I will be back with you in just a minute. All right, welcome everybody again. My name is Kelly Clement. I am your YouTube host today. I'm going to be running things, making the magic happen here in the background so you can see everything that's going on in the webinar. Today we're going to be having Kevin Nelson from learnmetastock.com talking about trading with the Supertrend indicator. So we are excited about that. Supertrend indicator is one that we get asked a lot about, so glad you're here to learn about it. Anyway, so Kevin will be talking to us in just a minute. Jeff's going to be on with us in just a minute to introduce Kevin. And it looks like everything's working technically. So I'm going to just do my magic, make sure everything's good to go, and we'll get started here in about 1 minute. looks like we are all set. Again, welcome to today's webinar. As you come into the room, say hello, tell us where you're coming in from. We'd love to hear from you in chat. Kevin's great about answering questions at the end of the presentation, so if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, enjoy today's webinar. Enjoy learning about trading with the Supertrend indicator with Kevin Nelson. Hey, Jeff, sorry about that. We are live and ready to go.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Having a problem with my camera. You won't be able to see me today, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead anyway. I will just assure you I look amazing. Anyway, hope you're doing well. My name is Jeff Gibby. Thank you for coming today. Thanks for making some time for us. If you're on YouTube, remember to smash that like and subscribe. It helps us a great deal. We appreciate it. And we're always doing really cool events, webinars, sessions, and if you subscribe, you'll find out about them automatically from YouTube. So there you go. In any case, let's go ahead and get to the legal disclaimer. I'll get out of the way, and we'll have a good session. So today's demonstration is designed to instruct you in using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. So our guest today, as you know, is Kevin Nelson. Kevin actually, funny enough, hired me. He hired Kelly over in the studio. And when I started here 26 years ago, it's because Kevin hired me into inside sales. So now he lives down in Florida. He runs a website that's called learnmetastock.com. And one of the things that we actually asked him to do was to talk about an indicator that he had put into MetaStock called the Supertrend filter, because it's such a popular indicator. It's something that a lot of people use. He did just that. He put together a class for you just based on that recommendation. So let's go ahead and get you started, Kevin. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Tell me when you can see it.
Yep, we can see it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You bet. It's on you.
All right. Perfect. Thanks again, Jeff. As Jeff said, my name's Kevin Nelson. I'm with learnmetastock.com, and at Learn MetaStock, basically the only thing we do is really just try to help you out with your MetaStock program and try to help you get whatever it is that you want out of the program. So we do it a lot of different ways. We have a lot of different styles and types of training that are available for you. And so what I'll do is I won't talk too much about it now, but I'll save that towards the end of the webinar here today, and then I'll go into it in a little bit more detail. But as always, if you have any types of questions, make sure and let me know. Just send me a message over in the chat window. I'll be happy to try to help you out here as we're going through this here too. So what we're going to do here today is we're going to do a class, or basically a presentation here on an indicator or trading strategy, which is called the Supertrend indicator. And this indicator here itself was actually brought to my attention by a customer of mine who asked me to check this system out. And when he brought it to my attention, I had no idea about this particular indicator or this trading strategy, but I did a little bit of research and I have found out quite a bit of information about it. And what I found out, first of all, it's been around for quite a while, number one. And number two, it's a pretty popular system or trading strategy. So after checking it out, one of the things that I like to do is that when somebody does come to me with a trading idea or an article or a book or whatever the case may be, I like to research it and see if I can maybe try to figure out how to duplicate it inside of MetaStock. And that's exactly what we did with this particular one. So on this one here, which again is called the Supertrend indicator, what I kind of found out about it is that, first of all, it's a trend following indicator. So what you're going to find with a trend following indicator is that a trend following indicator is going to do really well when the markets are trending or the security is trending. But like any other trend following indicator, we start to get in a little bit of a chop or sideways trading channel and so forth. you'll find a lot of these trending types of indicators don't perform that well. And this is really no different here. But again, when you match it up with the right type of market and security, it actually does extremely well. The nice thing about this particular one is that I found that it's really simple to interpret. Once you actually see it on the chart, and I, go over it in literally like 30 seconds, you'll understand exactly how to interpret the signals. There's really not a whole heck of a lot to it. But one of the neat things about this particular indicator that really caught my attention anyway, is that one of the indicators that is part of it is what's called an ATR, or average true range. And the nice thing about the average true range indicator is that it adjusts based on volatility, meaning that, it can adjust depending on what the actual market is doing and how volatile the market is doing. So what's nice about this, again, is it automatically adjusts for you. And the other thing about this particular trading strategy is it's super customizable. You can speed it up, slow it down to whatever you'd like to do. And there's also quite a bit of training available. As I was saying earlier, that what I found is I found quite a few different videos up on YouTube to watch on this. And I didn't find a whole heck of a lot of reading material on it, but with all the different training that I found on YouTube, it was more than enough for what I needed. So what I did after actually checking out this particular system, I actually created a number of different tools for our customers here. And these tools include one indicator, an expert advisor, 2 different system tests, and also an exploration to help you with this trading strategy here as well. So let's go ahead and jump over to a chart. Let me show you what I mean by this. So what we've got here is we've just got a standard bar chart here of the S&P 500 ETF for the SPY. And whenever you install any of the formulas and so forth from our website, the Learn MetaStock website, what I do is I put the initials LMS at the beginning of the formula for Learn MetaStock. So if you go to your indicator quick list and you scroll down through your list of indicators here, what you'll find is you'll find my indicators here. And the one we're going to use here in this class here is called the LMS Supertrend indicator. So what I'll do is I'll drag it directly on top of the price bars and then let go of my mouse button. And it's going to ask us for 2 different things. It's going to ask us for the number of periods that we want to use, or the length of the ATR calculation, and then the multiplier of the ATR as well. Now you'll see I've just got the default set in here as 7 and 3. I found that those are pretty much the most popular ones that I saw in the different videos and so forth. So I went ahead and just made that the default. And for the color, I'm going to go ahead and lighten this up here a little bit and just make sure that we can see this okay. And I'll make the weight a little bit heavier and click on OK. And what's important is that when you plot this indicator, make sure and merge it with a scale. Whether your scale's on the right or the left, you have to merge it with a scale in order for it to plot accurately. So go ahead and merge this one with a scale on the right, and we'll click on OK, and that'll plot our indicator. So the way that you interpret this indicator is you're just looking to see if the prices are above or below the line. So literally what happens here is that if the prices here, I'll just kind of really zoom in here for just a second here. Let's go into this section right here. And let's say that the prices are trending up like this. You'll notice that this line is below the price bars. So this line, when the prices are moving up and this line is below the price bars, this line basically acts as a trailing stop. And then what happens is that if the prices or close below that line, you'll see that line will flip to the above the price bars, and then we're looking at a bearish territory. So again, literally, if the prices are above the line, you're bullish. If the prices are below the line, you're bearish. That's it. So that's what I mean about how simple this particular strategy is. And all you're really looking for, again, is the price to close either above or below the line to determine the direction of the actual move. So super simple. And if you want to adjust it, of course, you just double click on it, and then you can adjust it to any length that you want. Now, to help kind of get you started with this one, what I did is I created a couple different system tests. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to run a number of different tests and so forth here tonight. And what I'm going to do, first of all, is that whenever I run a system test or an exploration, the first thing I like to do is I like to set up my default chart, make it look exactly how I want it to look. So after I run these different tests or explorations and I open up a chart, they all look exactly the same. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to save this as my default template. Quick way to do that is just right click anywhere inside your chart, choose Save as Default Template. It'll ask if you want to replace your existing. You'll say yes. And then you need to close down the open charts, and you need to go to File and then choose Delete Smart Chart. And what this will do is this will just kind of wipe out MetaStock short-term memory. So every time you open up a chart from this point forward, whether you've looked at it before or not, they'll all look exactly the same. So what I'll do now is I'm going to open up our system tester. And one of the really nice features in version 18 that they added was this search dialog up here. I really like this quite a bit because some of these, the explorations and the system tests, these lists can get really big, to say the least. So what's really nice is that you can do a search on whatever it is that you're interested in. So for example, like my Learn MetaStock formulas, I'll just start typing LMS, and that'll basically group or get all of my systems together there for me. Now, you'll see that when you install these formulas, there's going to be two different ones. There's going to be a Supertrend system test and also one with optimization. The one we're going to look at first is this one with optimization. So I'll go ahead and double click on it. And this will open up what's called the editor. And you'll see that I've got just some quick notes here on this particular system and how to interpret it and so forth. But another side note here is that the formula that was originally given to me for this system was created by William Golson of MetaStock there. So I really appreciate his help on that, to say the least. But what I did is I took his base formula, and off of that, then I created the indicator, the system test, the explorations, and expert, and so forth. So the formulas here, if you just click on the buy order and sell order and so forth, you'll see that they'll all be spelled out here for you. And if you click over here on the optimizations tab, this will give you an idea of what this system's actually going to do. So for those of you who are newer to MetaStock and technical analysis and so forth, well, first of all, what system testing allows you to do is it allows you to go backwards in time and test your trading idea on a historical data set. But what optimization allows you to do is it not only goes back and tests your data on that historical data set, but it can also test a range of data and tell you what length indicator and what settings to use, or basically which ones work the best, for example. But with that being said, optimizations, there's a lot to understand about optimization, and there's definitely some pitfalls you need to be aware of. But unfortunately, I don't really have all the time to go into all that. For more information, like on system testing and optimization, make sure and go up to our website, and we go into it in quite a bit of detail. But for this particular one, we're going to run two different optimizations on both the multiplier and the length. The ATR multiplier, we're going to test anywhere from 1 to 10 periods. And the length of the ATR, we're going to test anywhere from 2 to 40. And by doing this, you'll see that this is going to run through 200 different combinations here when we run it. So what I'll do is I'll click on OK. And then to run this, I'll make sure that I have the correct system selected, number one. Up here at the top, I'll enter in the symbol that I want to test this on. And so I'll go ahead and test it on the SPY. And then over here on the right-hand side, this is the settings that you'll use to run the system test. So for example, I'll tell it to go long only and use it over the last 1,250 records, which is about 5 years of time. And then underneath the interval, we'll go ahead and select it to run the test on daily data. And for the trade options, let me just show you real quick how I've got this set up. But I'll go to the account tab, and you'll see I'm going to run what's called a points only test. And a points only test is just going to return back a raw number of points that were gained or lost. So it's not going to take into account, dollars or anything else. It's just going to be a raw point. For example, if the security goes from 55 to 56, that's just considered to be 1 point. Okay. And then for the broker, you'll see by choosing a points only test, it takes out of the equation any type of interest rates and margin requirements. And what I've found over the years is that this can really kind of muddy the results if you're trying to test a lot of different trading ideas. Because when you come back and you're trying to compare the results of one system test against the other, you want to make sure everything is exactly the same so you can very quickly determine if one is better or worse. So by using a points only test and taking that out of the equation, I find that actually works pretty well. I've got 0 set up for my commissions. And then for the trade execution, you'll see that I've got all my fields set to trade at the opening with a 1 period delay. Now, what this is going to do is that if I get a signal on Wednesday night, again, we're going to be looking at daily data. If if I get a signal on Wednesday night, this is going to simulate that I get in at the opening on Thursday. And then vice versa, if I get an exit on Friday, it's going to simulate I get out at the opening on Monday. So to run it, we'll click on OK. And again, I'll go ahead and make sure everything is set up the way I want and click on my start system test. And what this is going to do is that this is, of course, is going to start the process. Now down here at the bottom, you'll see that this is going to run through actually 200 different combinations of both the multiplier and the length of the ATR. So this is, again, just such an incredibly powerful feature that you can do inside the program here. The system test allows you to basically go backwards in time and test just about any type of technical analysis criteria that you can imagine. And then optimization even takes it one step further and not only tests the idea, but then tells you which one actually worked the best there as well. So for those of you, again, like I say, who haven't done a lot of testing and so forth, we've got a ton of information up on the Learn MetaStock website to kind of walk you through this, because there's a lot of different things that you really need to pay attention to and be careful of. A lot of different little pitfalls that you can fall into, to say the least. So anyway, when it's finished, just click on your view results. And this, of course, will give you the results of the system tests that we ran. And what we're looking at here are all the different system tests that we just ran here. Actually, this is actually recording, or basically reporting 100 of the most profitable. We actually ran 200 combinations, but I told it to just give us the last 100. So if I sort on the net profit here, you can see that the most profitable one generated 122 points. It had 3 trades. It had 2 winning trade and 1 losing trade. The average profit was to the average loss was 4.25. Now, what that means is that for every point that you lost on a losing trade, you made over 4 points on a winning trade. And in my opinion, that's a really important concept there. And the reason being for that is that if your average winning trade is substantially larger than your average losing trade, you can be wrong a lot more often than you're right and make very good money with that trading strategy. But if your average loser is larger than your average winner, sooner or later, statistically, if you trade it long enough, of course, it'll break your account. So that's where you got to be really careful. But so this first one only traded 3 times, as you can see. And then over here on the far right-hand side, these are the levels that it actually used. So it used 9 for the multiplier and 40 for the length of the ATR. But this next one, I mean, three trades in 5 years is not a lot of trades. So the next one down pretty much did the same. It looks like it generated just a little bit less at 121 points, traded 10 times, had 4 winners and 6 losers, had an average profit, average loss of 4.2. And the parameters that this one used was 5 and 40. Now, this is the part that I was talking about, this 4-6 right here. This means that we actually lost 6 times. Well, we only won 4 times. But as you can see, it actually generated almost the same amount of money, or the same number of points, I should say, right? And this, again, is why it's so important that your average profit is larger than your average loss. So to take a closer look at it, just double click on it, and you go right back into the report here. So to determine how well a strategy does, for example, there's a lot of things that you need to look at or understand in the report. And what's nice is you can always get help at any time by clicking on the help up here. But let me just show you a few different fields quickly. So the first one, you'll see that this one generated 121 points. And if you compare that to the buy and hold, the buy and hold was 128 points. So it didn't quite beat the buy and hold. So then the question is like, well, is that something you want to pursue or not? Well, before you can make a determination like that, there's a lot of things to take into account. Down here, you'll see that this traded 10 times. And out of those 10 trades, 4 of the trades were profitable. Scroll down here a little bit. And 6 of them were unprofitable. But this is the important one right here, this 47.1. That means your average profit was over 47 points. And then your average loss was a little over 11 points. So that's that 4-to-1 ratio right there. Then the other thing I like to look at here too in this page, if you scroll down here a little bit and look at this number, this out of market timing, you'll see that this thing was out of the market 529 bars. So the question is, well, what exactly does that mean? Well, if you think about the amount of data that we actually tested, we tested 1,250 bars or records, or I should say about 5 years of time. You can roughly figure about 250 trading days in a year. So in order to generate 128.4 points on the buy and hold, we had to be fully invested the whole time, meaning that you bought that security and you held on to it for that entire 5-year period. But in order to generate 121 points, you're only in it about 3 years of time because we were out of the market over 500 bars. So in other words, you generated 121 points in about 3 years, or the buy and hold of 5 years was 128 points. And so the question might be as well, which one would you prefer? So again, it just kind of depends on how you want to go about this, but that allows you to free up your money to do other things, of course. So the other thing I like to look at too is that if you click on the equity tab up here at the very top, this will give you an idea of how the actual strategy did. And you can see that, for example, like during the first couple of years here, and by the way, down here, these are the scales of the dates. For example, again, you can roughly figure about 250 trading days in a year. So this is about 1 year of time right here. And at 500, you're right about here. There's about 2 years. So a little after 2 years, this thing just really took off. And you'll see why here in just a second. We'll go ahead and click on this plot on chart down here at the bottom. And then we'll close this down and close this down. And you'll see that this, of course, up here, this is our equity curve. So I'm going to go ahead and close that down. And we'll take a closer look here at this chart. And let's take a look at some of these different signals here. So first of all, to make sure that this thing is matching up how it should, when you plot this indicator, whatever numbers that you decide to use, it's important that you go up to the indicator itself and then adjust the indicator accordingly. So for example, for the number of periods, we're going to go ahead and change that to 40, and we're going to change the multiplier to 5 and click on OK. And there you can see now our lines change quite a bit. So to understand what we're looking at here, let me kind of really zoom in here for just a second here. But you'll see that right here, the prices broke above this line here on this bar. And then 1 bar later, it got long. Okay, and you'll see that that was trade number 9. And it got long at 422.99. And if you hover over that price bar, you'll see that that opening price is 422.99. So that's what this information is telling you right here. And you can see the prices pretty quickly reversed, traded below this, or they closed below this line, and 1 bar after that point, it then exited out at 393.13. So this is actually kind of an important part here, is that when you're running a system test and you plot the results on your chart, it's really important that you go back and make sure that you understand why this thing is buying and selling at these different points here. But I'll kind of zoom out here for a little bit. But here you can see a really good example of when this indicator does extremely well. And that is, of course, is when something is trending and you're using the right type of indicator. So for example, going back through this whole stretch, if you were to use this during that period of time using the right parameters, obviously you would have been extremely happy about how well this worked. So this is basically what we came up with by running that system test and trying all those different parameters. But the next thing I wanted to do after I kind of ran this is I want to take that same information and I want to run it on a group of securities and see how that group of securities did as well. So to do that next, we'll go back into our system test here, for example, and you'll see that I've got another system test here just called the LMS Supertrend system test. And you'll see that it does not have the optimization abbreviation at the end. So this is the one that if you open it up, this is the one that you can make changes to, and you can adjust the levels to anything that you want. Now, one thing I always recommend is that if you decide to make a change to a formula that's already inside your program, rather than changing the original formula, what I highly recommend that you do is you make a copy of it and then make your changes to that copied version. So that's what I'm going to do here. So to make a copy of it, just right click on it, choose copy, and there you'll see now I've got a copy of it. And what I can do here is I can make as many changes as I want, and I still have the original to fall back on. So I'll go ahead and open that up. And what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to go to the buy order here, and up here at the very top, you'll see this first category is the multiplier, and the second one is the length. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust these to the numbers that we saw earlier. So I'll change the multiplier to 5 and I'll change the length to 40. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the sell order. I'm going to go to the sell order and do the exact same thing. So again, I'll change the multiplier to 5 and I'll change the length to 40. Okay. Now we'll click on OK. And I'll go ahead and unselect these other system tests. So I'm just going to run the Supertrend system test copy just by itself. I'm going to keep everything the same over here. And then down here at the bottom, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run it on the S&P 100, for example. And I'll just go ahead and click on my start system test. So again, now what we're going to do here is we're going to run through 100 different system tests, or basically 100 different securities here of the same system test. And what we're doing is running it on those same parameters of the 5, the multiplier of 5, and the length of the 40. Now, one of the questions that I sometimes get here is that when I'm running it on some of these lists, for example, how come the S&P 100 has 101 securities in it, or the NASDAQ has 102 and so forth? And the answer is that some securities have more than one class of stock. So, for example, a good example of that would be something like Google that has like a Class A and a Class C, for example. But anyway, when it's finished, just click on your view results. And what you'll see is, of course, is something like this. So let's kind of make this a little bit bigger. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and sort, for example, on the net profit here. And as you can see here, this is a kind of a weird looking graph here. We've got, looks like about 3/4 of the securities tested profitably. And then the other quarter did not test profitably. And we have one huge outlier here that has a huge loss here. And we'll take a look at all these here in just a second. But first of all, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the ones that did a little bit better. But the one that looks like it performed the best during this group using those same settings, for example, was Charter. So we'll go ahead and open this one up. And here you can see that it generated 330 points. The buy and hold during that same period was 52 points. It traded 6 times. It had 5 winners, 1 loser. The average winner was over 68 points. The average loss was 10 points. So a really nice ratio there. And again, down here at the out of market, you'll see that it was out of the market over 560 bars. So that means, again, that you generated these 331 points in about 3 years of time, or buying and holding the same security, you generated 52 points. So that one, it looks like it fit very well. Netflix, we'll open that one up. Again, this one only traded 6 times. Same thing, generated almost 300 points. The buy and hold was 95. And same thing, as we kind of go down through here, they're all pretty close. The average profit was over 60 points. The average loss was 7.5. And you're out of the market over 500 bars. Same thing. So same thing, there's BlackRock. We'll open that up. But this is kind of what I found here is that the ones that actually did pretty well with this system were pretty consistent. And I think, again, like I say, if you can use this in the correct types of markets, the correct types of securities and so forth, I think something like this could actually work pretty well. And some of the different, for example, securities, again, like I say, seem to fit it better than others. So let's take a look at the other side of this coin. Let's sort on this net profit here. Because, you know, whenever you run these system tests, you're always going to have losing securities, for example. And the question is why, right? So, for example, the one that really did poorly here is this booking holding. And let's go ahead and open this thing up and see what the heck happened here. But you can see that this generated a negative 1,600 points, and the buy and hold was a positive 300 points. So that kind of begs the question, what in the heck, how could this thing have gone so wrong with this particular security? Well, to kind of figure something like that out, I mean, one thing that I would do is I'd go ahead and plot it on the chart and take a look at the signals. And first of all, just make sure that the signals, this is our equity curve up here at the top, by the way, so I'll go ahead and close that down. And the first thing I'd do is just make sure that the signals are correct. So I'll kind of zoom in here, and then I'll go ahead and adjust this indicator to make sure it has the same settings. We'll put in the number of periods at 40 and the multiplier at 5. And again, click on OK, and that'll adjust it there. So what I'm looking for here is again, like, for example, when I get that buy signal, I want to make sure that the price is traded above that line there, for example, and then held on until they close below that line. And when they close below it, then of course, we get that exit. So as I kind of see it here, for example, on some of these different signals, you'll see that one thing that's really kind of jumps out at me a lot here in booking holdings is the volatility of the security. I mean, whatever the case is, this thing gaps a lot. There are a ton of gaps here. And some of the signals actually aren't too bad. I mean, they started off pretty well, but look at these gaps here going down. And of course, you're going to get stopped out in situations like that. But there, again, like I say, there's just a ton of gaps in this thing. And I think maybe it's just possibly the volatility of this particular security with the settings that I used for the other securities, just of course didn't fit this security itself. So then the question is like, well, if booking holdings is a security or a company that you want to trade, are there other things that you can do to possibly use it? And so what I would probably do myself is, first of all, I'd go and take a look maybe at the settings itself of the system and see if maybe there's some other settings that might fit it a little bit better, number one. Number two, another thing that you can do too that I'm not sure if a lot of people work with, but if you open up a system test, up here at the top here in this system editor, if you click on the stops tab, you've actually got 5 different types of stops to work with here. So maybe, depending on how volatile the security, and if you notice that it's gapping a lot, maybe it would do a little bit better if you put in some type of profit target or maybe a maximum loss or something like that. So there's a lot of different things that you can actually look at with the security. If there's a particular security that you really want to trade that, you know, isn't quite fitting whatever it is that you're trying to trade it with. But, you know, a lot of times what I find out is just that some securities just do not match some types of trading strategies themselves. And you're just better off concentrating on other ones that seem to fit a little bit better. Okay. All right. So let me show you something else here that that I came across here too in those videos, and that is that another very common theme that I saw is that people like to use this in combination with other indicators and so forth. So let me show you what you can do here. Let's go ahead and open up that same system test here, and I'm going to go to the buy order. And what I want you to take a look at here is this last line, this cross, close, ref, and so forth. This is actually the trigger to go long based on this formula above it. And when this is true, that's going to indicate or basically get you into a long position. Now, one thing that I saw a lot of in the different videos and so forth, and let me go ahead and just open up a chart here again, for example, like the SPY, and we'll open that back up, is using this in combination with the moving average. And hands down, the most popular moving average that I saw in combination with this strategy was a 200-period exponential moving average. So I'll go ahead and change the length to 200, and we'll make it an exponential. And we'll go ahead and change the color here just so we can see it a little bit better here too. So I'll change the weight of it just a little bit heavier and click on OK. So the idea here, or the idea that I saw presented quite a bit, was using this in combination with a moving average, for example, and that is only trade to the long side if the prices are above the moving average, and only trading to the short side if the prices are below the moving average, in combination, of course, with the indicator. So how could you test something like that with this strategy? So to do that, what you could do is go into the system tester, open it back up. Again, this last line right here is actually what's going to trigger a long signal. So let's say, for example, that I also wanted to say that I want to get in if the closing price is above its 200-period moving average as well as this being true. The way that you could add that to it is you could say, and the close of the security is greater or above its moving average. And the way that you would write that would be close, comma, the number of periods you want to use, and then the type of moving average, and you close the whole thing off with a parenthesis at the end. So this right here will identify when this is true and when this is true, okay? So to run it, just go ahead and click on OK. And of course, now we can run it on the same database if we want. I'll go ahead and just click on my Start System Test. And then we'll go ahead and just run it through those 100 securities again here and just see what this thing comes up with. And you'll notice that when I started this, or when I clicked on it, what I did is I kept all my settings over here the same here because I don't want to change it one of the things that you want to do here is that whenever you're trying to work on these different ideas and determine if one idea is better or worse than another, is try to keep all your settings exactly the same so you're comparing apples to apples. Because when you start doing a lot of these, it can get really confusing really fast. Another thing I like to do too is I like taking the results of a system test and actually putting them into an Excel spreadsheet and then saving that spreadsheet so I can very quickly compare the results against each other that way as well. So anyway, but of course we go into that kind of stuff a lot more up on the website there. So anyway, so let's go ahead and sort on the net profit. And here you can see it doesn't look like it, in this particular situation, it doesn't look like it made a whole heck of a lot of difference, to tell you the truth, as far as what I've found by doing this and using the 200 period exponential moving average. But, excuse me, is that the first security, again, Charter Communications, again, actually was the top performer. The number of trades actually dropped a little bit. It dropped down to 4 trades. But what was interesting is that all 4 trades were winning trades. So it actually couldn't calculate the average profit, average loss. BlackRock was not the second before, but it was actually up there. This one traded 6 times. The average profit was a little over 2 points, Adobe, and so forth. So what I kind of found is, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these just real quick. I'll go ahead and open it up and click on this equity curve. What I kind of saw is that by combining it, for example, like with a moving average, for example, is that it kept you out of the market, for example, in the last year. So if the securities are below that 200 period moving average, you're not looking to go long during that period of time. So in all these different securities, of course, it didn't trade as much, for example, but what I saw, again, is it kept you out of the market, again, for that last year. So that's just another way that you can add another indicator to it. I didn't do a lot of other testing with adding other indicators and so forth with this strategy, but as you can see, it's really simple to add whatever it is that you want to add. So maybe you want to use a MACD or, you know, some other types of oscillators or whatever the case may be. But you can add whatever type of configuration that you want to it. All right. Now, to also help out as well is I also create an exploration. And up here in the search, I'll go ahead and do my LMS. Oops. So I can get those together. And here is the one that I created. It's called the Supertrend Exploration. And this one, you'll see that it'll generate a buy signal if it's got a 1 underneath column C or a 1 underneath column D. Now, if you made any changes or basically want to use other time periods for your indicator, then what you want to do is you want to go underneath both column C and column D and make those changes. So for example, underneath the buy column, I'll use 5 for the multiplier and 40 for the length. And then I want to make sure and do the same thing for the sell side then too, if those are the numbers that I want to use. But once we have them selected like that, just click on OK. Oh, actually, before I do, let me point out one other thing. Is that if I go to the filter tab here, you'll see that this says column C or column D. What that means is that it's only going to give me the securities that come back with a value of 1 underneath under column C or column D, meaning I only want to see securities that are currently giving me a buy signal or a sell signal right now. So to run it, just click on OK. And then to run it, I'll go ahead and choose the S&P 100 again, that's fine. And I'll load 1,250 records using the current date and make sure the filter's selected and then go ahead and start the exploration. And what this, of course, is going to do now, it's going to look through those S&P 100 securities, seeing if there's any buy or sell signals right now on the data that up through today's close, I should say. All right. So let's, as you can see, run through very quickly. Got a few securities here, but you'll see we've got 3 different securities that are meeting that criteria: American Express, FedEx, and Thermo Fisher. But if you open any of them up, for example, like American Express, hang on for just one sec. If you open up American Express, I'll go ahead and open up FedEx and also Thermo. Open up each one. You'll see that right here, we'll kind of zoom in here, that what we want to do, if we open these up, the thing that you want to be careful of is that you want to make sure that your indicator is set up with the same or the correct parameters. So what we need to do is we need to double check it. I'll double click on it. And then you'll see that we need to adjust this. So to match up with the exploration, we have to change this to 40 and then change this to 5 and then click on OK. And this is why you're getting a buy signal on this security on Thermo Fisher right now, is because it closed above this line here at this point. See that? So the same thing, we'll go ahead and close that one down. This is FedEx. We can go ahead and adjust that one real quick. I'll change that number to 40, multiplier to 5, click on OK. And again, same thing. That's why you're getting a buy signal on FedEx. And then one more, we've got American Express. And I'll just open that up, change that to 40 and change that to 5. And again, click on OK. All right. So very simple. I mean, you know, not a whole heck of a lot to it, really. Now, the other thing that I also created too that'll help you is that I've also created an expert advisor there for you. And if you go ahead and open up the expert advisor by clicking on that little guy up here at the top, and then scroll down to the LMS group of formulas here, you'll find one just called the LMS Supertrend Expert. And let me go ahead and open it up. And same thing here, like for example, if you want to see the buy and sell signals on your chart, what's important is that it's using the same parameters that you want to basically adjust it to. So for example, I'll go to the buy signal and we need to adjust this one here. So you just adjust these two top fields right here. So we change the multiplier, for example, to 5 and then the length to 40. So that's for the buy signal. We'll click on OK. And then for the sell signal, I'll open that up and do the same thing. So I'll change the multiplier to 5 and again, the length to 40. And again, click on OK. Click on OK, and then attach, and click on close, and there you go. And so, for example, using the expert advisor with those settings here, I know this is the color background actually isn't great, but here's the buy signal right here on this last bar. Here's a sell signal right here. Here's a buy signal right there, and so forth. But as you can see here, as you kind of scroll back here and so forth, using this, for example, on the right types of markets, the right types of securities and so forth, when these things tend to trend, can actually be, you know, pretty good indicator to use. So anyway, I hope that that's helpful. I know it's a lot of information there to say the least, but let me just, well, I'll tell you what, let me give you just a quick overview of our website and the type of training that we offer here. And then we'll go to see if there's any questions or anything. So first of all, let me jump over to the website. And at learnmetastock.com, again, the only thing we really do is we just try to help you with your MetaStock program, whatever it is that you want to get out of your program. And we help you in a number of different ways. But one thing that we do is in this live classes, if you click on that, we do up to 3 live classes per week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And this is really nice if you have questions. You come in, ask your questions, and we can pretty much go over anything that you want there as well. And what I also do is I save time at the end of the webinars. So in case you have questions not pertaining to the subject, we can also cover that. Now, if you can't make the classes, you know, because of work schedule, because your time zone, whatever the case may be, if you click on the video library, we make a recording of all of our classes that we do, and we put them up at the very top here. So if you can't make the live class, you'll always be able to go back and see the recordings there. Now, primarily where the majority of our customers spend the time is in this group of videos here, which is called the video library. But what you really want to do, depending on your level of expertise with MetaStock and getting started with technical analysis, just find the video that might be of interest to you. Click on the Watch Now button. And of course, then you can watch the video and whatever the case may be to help you out. And a lot of the different videos and so forth that you'll find here, for example, like this introduction to technical analysis, if I can say it, you'll see that anytime that we include any type of formulas, outlines, whatever the case may be, they'll be attached over here underneath this section, which is called the resources section. And the other thing we do with a lot of videos as well is we also have quizzes attached to them as well. So if you click on the quiz, what this will do is this will basically help reinforce what you learned in the video. And this, of course, can be a great learning tool for those really trying to get up to speed with it. So yeah, I'll go ahead and go back here. We've got our videos grouped up into a number of different types of videos there as well. But where you are in your MetaStock learning curve, one of the areas that I always recommend that everyone do, no matter you're a professional, you've been doing this for a long time, you've had MetaStock for years, whatever the case may be, is to watch these first 4 videos: MetaStock Introduction Part 1 and 2, the next step into MetaStock, and then the MetaStock Advanced. Watch all 4 of these videos. And if you understand the concepts in all 4 of these videos, then you can jump around to whatever types of other information that you want. So for example, I'll scroll down here. Of course, we have videos on all the different types of power tools. For example, like the Forecaster, the Expert Advisor, Option Scope. We have a lot of videos just on system testing. The Explorer is probably my favorite tool inside the program just because of the versatility of this. I mean, the ability to go out and search and scan through thousands of records at a time based on what you're looking for, I think is just incredible. There's just so much you can do with it. And because of that, we've got a number of videos just on that. But one of the areas that can really be helpful is, depending on what you want to do with MetaStock, is learning a little bit about the formula language. And I don't mean becoming a programmer by any stretch of the imagination, but if you have a basic understanding of how to read some of these different formulas, that's going to give you that much more confidence on why that strategy is telling you to buy or sell at these different points. And then, of course, you can take it as far as you want. Maybe you might want to adjust a formula or add something to it, maybe even create your own. But that's, again, where we can help you out quite a bit there in just the formula writing. We have a number of videos just on the RMO, number of videos just on stops. And this is another area that I think a lot of people overlook. And that is, they concentrate so hard on where to get in at that perfect opportunity, they kind of forget about where they're going to get out of a trade there as well. So this is where we can help you out there. We've created a number of different types of stops here that you can download directly into your program there as well. So a lot of videos just on the different indicators, but this is probably the most popular section, is the trading strategy section. And that's where this class came about tonight, is because a customer asked me about the Supertrend indicator. And again, I didn't know anything about it until I, went out and researched it and watched videos and basically taught myself how to use this thing. And that's what we do, is we take these different trading ideas and then we share them with you and show you how to duplicate them inside your program. So how it works is, so for example, like tonight on the Supertrend indicator here, if you click on the Watch Now button, this of course will give you access to the video. And then to download the formulas, just click on this link and this will download all the formulas directly into your MetaStock program. So you don't have to do a thing. Just click on that button and everything's installed for you. So I can't tell you how much time and effort we've put into all these different formulas that you can download directly into your program. But it's been a massive undertaking over the years. And one thing I can tell you is I can save you a massive amount of time in your learning curve. So again, it's all available here for you. Another section here that we spend a lot of time on here, just doing the product reviews on the different products that MetaStock offers. Of course, they have a lot of add-ons now, and we've done a lot of them, but there's still quite a few more there that we can do as well. But we'll scroll down through here. And then if you have the real-time version, we've got a number of instructional videos just on Zenith, and scroll down a little bit further. And another thing that's also kind of interesting too is interviewing some fellow traders. And what I've had a lot of customers over the years, thousands and thousands of customers over the years. But what's really interesting sometimes is actually talking to some of our customers who are experienced and seasoned traders. And what's really nice is when they're willing to share, what they're doing and how they look at the charts and what they're looking for and so forth. And so I think a lot of these can be really beneficial in helping you learn more about, how to trade and give you some different ideas there as well. So anyway, so that's what I've got here for you today. I hope that that's helpful. And so at this point, I'll just hand it back over to Jeff.
Cool. We do have just a couple questions that came in. Actually, one comment from YouTube. Vincenzo says, I love the Supertrend indicator. Super powerful.
Oh, good. Good.
Philip wanted to know, and I can help with this one. He wanted to know how far you can go back with the back testing.
Yeah, Jeff, why don't you go ahead and handle that? Just make sure I got that right.
Yeah, no problem. I can absolutely answer that. If you're doing, it depends on the instrument that you're using. If you're doing a daily basis, you can get, I'm going to assume you're getting your data from DataLink or Zenith. If you're doing U.S. futures, it's usually back to 1973. If it's U.S. stocks, it's going to be 1980. International markets usually go back about 10 years. And if you have other questions about different markets that maybe not be covered in that umbrella, or you just want to make sure, get in touch with our sales team and they can tell you exactly how far the data goes back. But as long as you get the data, and we get a ton of data from Reuters and Refinitiv now, as long as you have the data, you can test as much as you want to. The other question that Philippe had is it possible to add shorts for the test?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The I'll jump over here just real quick. And actually, that kind of brings up another question that that comes up as well. But first of all, if you want to test going short, for example, if you click on, again, go back into the system tester and open it up, I've got all the formulas for selling short and buying to cover as well. So that's already built in there for you as well. So if you want to test going short, yeah, it's already there for you. But that kind of leads me to another point that I didn't bring up. And that is using this on other types of data. So for example, like I'm just showing this, for example, like on daily data, but let me jump over here again to the, for example, like the SPY chart here again. And let's say, for example, that we want to go down to like 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever the case may be. You can use this on any time frame that you want. So that's another nice thing about this indicator. It's like I say, it's super simple, number one. And number two, it's super flexible depending on what you want to do. So anyway, so yeah, sorry for not bringing that up earlier.
No, that's what the questions are for, right? Lance wants to know, does each stock have a unique number, like a unique optimized number and multiplier? Or when you're optimizing stocks, what's your general, do you have any general recommendations around optimizing stock?
Yeah, optimization is really a can of worms, to tell you the truth. There's you just have to be really, really careful with it, because again, you're back testing a trading strategy on a historical data set, meaning that this has happened, number one. But number two, when you're optimizing, you're finding the absolute best fit on that historical data set. So you got to be super careful with those results. The reason being is that in some cases, some people say, well, I'm just going to go with the most profitable one. And, you know, that's what I expect to get going forward. Well, the only time that you'll be happy with that result is if the next data set performs exactly like the data set that you tested on. So again, with optimization, you got to be careful with it. But as far as like the number of periods to use, that's a good question. I mean, I don't really have a pat answer for that, but, you know, I think maybe a couple hundred probably would be more than enough for what I'm looking for. But, you know, I did an interview with a guy by the name of Chuck Rademacher, and he does a ton of system testing and so forth. And I mean, he uses thousands and thousands of tests to go backwards and optimize and test on and so forth. So I think everybody's just going to look at it a little bit different. And really the best suggestion I have for you is just to go in and experiment yourself and see really what works for you.
The other comment that we had was back when you were talking about the new search functionality in MetaStock. Mm-hmm. And both Kelly and I would like to agree with you that that's some awesome new functionality.
Yes, I love that. I love that actually quite a bit.
It does. It makes it a lot easier. Yeah. I don't even. Yeah. Anyway, that's all of the questions that we've got, and I appreciate it. I think what we should do is talk about kind of the offer that we're going with here. Do you mind if I take over a little bit for a minute?
Yeah, please do.
All right, cool. Let me go ahead and kind of just take the screen back here. And one of the things I actually wanted to point out, let me go ahead and make me the presenter here, and you should be able to see this. And let me just, I think I actually have what I wanted to actually show. I was looking at this a little bit earlier today, and this is just this is off of the learnmetastock.com, and this is just kind of a list of the testimonials that Kevin's taken over the year. I'm not going to necessarily read all of these out, but I kind of scroll through them while I talk a little bit. I'm scrolling through them actually in reverse up, but while I talk a little bit about how we use Learn MetaStock internally. Now, I mentioned earlier that Kelly and I both kind of were hired on by Kevin, and actually Kevin is the person that taught me how to use MetaStock. Now that's been like 26 years ago, when we bring on any new rep here at MetaStock, what we generally tend to do is send them through learnmetastock.com. The first thing that they will have is a login to learnmetastock.com, especially if it's a new sales rep. And I'll be going, okay, these are the first videos I want you to go through. When you're done with that, come see me. We're going to talk a little bit about the videos, and then we're going to have you go through some more. But I've always said, as part of that, and one of the things actually Kevin taught me when I was early on is like MetaStock was such a great software program. At that point, it was a software that we had been working on. Well, we've been working on it now for 30 years. At that point, it was just starting to win stocks and commodities awards and stuff like that. But he always told me that like if you just understand enough about MetaStock, it'll sell itself. And that was just advice to like a new sales guy, right? But one of the things that I've always thought about with MetaStock is it is a huge, very mature tool that we've developed over the course of years. And I'm still not to the end of these compliments. The better you understand how to use that tool, whether it's like you're learning about the RMO or something like that, the better that tool is going to work for you. So with Learn MetaStock, it's actually been a great partnership that we've been doing for a number of years now. The website is awesome, and you can see from all of the testimonials that he's got through customers, and I just barely got to the end of them, that is something that a lot of people really, really like. The subscription that we do here, and even just the training by itself, has hundreds of videos, 21 basic MetaStock videos, 4 expert advisor videos, system tester videos. Zenith kind of showed you all those videos that were available. And then the 3 live classes a week. The subscription price for that is about $99 per month. The other thing that I think is incredibly cool is, like he did with Supertrend today, he talked about how the system worked, talked about how to test them and stuff like that. That's one of 21 complete systems that's available. So, and you can see the numbers there. There's 62 indicators, 14 expert advisors. But with all of these videos, he kind of goes in, talks about how they work. He shows in and he's created system tests around them and expert advisors and scans. And, in addition to getting all of this really, really good trading, you're getting an additional download of 21 additional systems. I think it's cool. In any case, here's what we're doing in terms of a new offer. If you want to pick up Learn MetaStock, I'd recommend it. It's $99 per month, like I said. For new customer access, if you pay for that $99, we're going to give you that second and that third month for free. So you'll pay about $33 a month is all. You're going to get access for 3 months. You can do that in a couple of different ways. You can give us a call at 800-882-3040. You can do it online if you go to metastock.com/learnmetastock 3-for-1, or you can go to metastock.com/saleschat. So I think that's probably where we're going to end today. I do want to say thank you, Kevin, for coming in and spending some time with us about the Supertrend indicator. Thank you, everybody, for coming. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. Stay healthy. Stay well. Let's see you at the next one. Bye.
Hi, Kelly Clement here from MetaStock. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you found it instructive and informative. If you did, what I'd like to invite you to do is go ahead and like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us a great deal, and it helps us bring you more awesome content like today's video. So go ahead and like and subscribe, and keep on watching.